Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are we getting on? Welcome to Rage 2. So this is a video I didn't entirely expect to be making, but I had quite a bit of fun playing the game last night, so I thought we'd take a bit more of a look at it. So for those who don't know, this is the newest offering from id Software, the developers behind the Doom series, and Avalanche Studios, the guys behind Just Cause and the recent Mad Max game. So the combination ends up with pretty much what you'd expect. Crazy Doom-style combat mixed with a reasonable-sized open world and lots of bright colours, general post-apocalyptic feel, and it's great fun. It's not really a hardcore shooter in the traditional sense. It's more about the chaos and the fun and the not taking itself too seriously. They're all things this game does very, very well, rather than a hardcore shooter. In fact, I would probably recommend avoiding treating it as a hardcore gunplay-based game. Only because once you start cranking difficulties and things, the enemies get rather bullet spongy. But on somewhat lower difficulties, normal for example, which I'm playing on here, it's a lot of fun. It's just mad, chaotic carnage, I think would be a good word, and it's a lot of fun. The general gist of the game is that you play as Walker, who, after an attack on his home settlement, becomes the last of the Vineland Rangers, sets out to defeat the evil authority who destroyed his home and are basically like cyborg Nazis with an army of mutants, and therefore clearly need wiping out. He sets off on his quest of revenge, and it's absolute madness. It's great fun. So the game's been marketed very, very heavily on its tongue-in-cheek chaos, which is a fair description of it, but it's a little bit slower to get going than that might imply. So part of that I think is just because, you know, the early tutorialness of most games, to be honest, and the fact it's designed for people who are also not familiar with its predecessor, the original Rage, which didn't do all that well. It probably didn't help that it came out right before Skyrim. But it does follow on from that, but the game's designed to make sure that even if you haven't played that, like I haven't, you can still keep up, follow what's going on, and generally have a great time with it. So what I would recommend for an early start is to push on to this location here, actually, which is one of the first towns you find, called Gun Barrel. It's where you'll find a chap called John Marshall. Do his first mission. You'll pick yourself up a combat shotgun, which is an absolute blast to play with. Charging around, blasting enemies around the place. I mean, they'll often get back up again, but it does knock them off their feet, send them flying, and it's great fun to play with. And then at that point, you're pretty much set up to head on out into the wasteland and start doing some side objectives, clearing out bandit camps, which I think that's the name for them. You'll get the gist anyway. And doing little side objectives, claiming bounties, that sort of thing. And you rapidly find at that point, you build up everything you need to upgrade. And that's about the point where the game really embraces its chaos and starts becoming the daft, crazy, fast-paced game that it's been marketed as being. And it certainly lives up to it. A lot of fun. So you see we've got some interesting sort of post-apocalyptic settlements going on. The environment's very, very, well, I'd say Australian, but then I've never been to Australia, so I'll leave it up to you guys to figure out whether or not I'm right on that point. But it's certainly a colourful, weird and wacky wasteland that is a great playground for the crazy Doom-style combat that the game's built off. It's also got quite a heavy focus on vehicle combat and driving, which is part of the Avalanche influence as well. And it's a lot of fun. Some of the vehicles are somewhat difficult to manoeuvre, in fact I think a lot of them are. Once you get the grip of it, it's fun. The initial vehicle you start off with, the Phoenix, is probably my favourite I think at the moment. It's most easily upgradable, it's reasonably manoeuvrable, tough, it's got a couple of big machine guns on the front of it, and you can add missiles to it as well, which is always fun. So that's a lot of fun to play with, and some of the others are interesting as well, if a little harder to manoeuvre. Well, it kind of makes sense. You're charging a vehicle around a dusty wasteland, it's going to be difficult to control. Got a very, very cool environment in the bar here. I like this place a lot. Really cool vibe to it. Here we go and have a look at one of the vehicles I've commandeered from a group I got into a distinct argument with. Having a little bit of trouble getting it out of the car park here though. A lot of fun though. It's a very, very cool looking thing. Once you get it going, it's kind of, again, more of the mad, chaotic fun. The whole game, I think, is geared towards that particular vibe. It's just daft fun. So I would strongly recommend, if you want something that doesn't take itself too seriously, consider picking the game up. It's a lot of fun. It's had a few sort of day one issues, but seems to be the MO with new games these days. But once they iron out a few of the wrinkles, it'll be really smooth. See, the frame rate's not crazy. My PC's actually only just over the recommended specs. Pretty solidly staying above the 60 mark, which is fine. And yeah, it feels good, plays well, runs well. We're more or less on the top settings here. There's a couple of them that have pulled down a little bit, but nothing major. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It's a lot of fun. We're having some fun with the Phoenix here, crushing a bunch of goons that are just hanging out by the road. Clearly, standing by the road is not a good idea, really, in this game, either for them or you. Turned into orange paste. There's quite a complicated upgrade system. In fact, a lot of the controls and menus are a little less than intuitive, shall we say, when you're particularly on PC. You get the feeling it's a bit more console geared and controller geared, designed around that, but I haven't had the occasion to test that out. Once you get the hang of it and you've gone through and you've figured out what's going on, maybe tweaked your keybinds a little bit on PC, it really comes to life, which is great fun. See, the upgrade system is quite complicated and involved. Here we've got a couple of skins available for the wing stick off the bat, so I'm going to change it to one that looks a bit more interesting. Not a big fan of bananas, so I'm not going to stick those on my wing stick. But next one's quite fun. You'll find if you head out and do a few of the side quests that you rapidly pick up cash and feltrite, which is used for unlocking upgrades, and you can go and buy matics from traders, which will also give you the ability to craft gadgets like your wing stick or grenades and things like that, and open up what you can do on the fly as well, which is great fun. And once you start getting into upgrading your abilities, you can see we've got the general levels and then perks as well, which are separate things. You have two different directions to take your upgrades in. And yeah, the abilities very, very rapidly become very much more powerful and generally chaotic fun, as I keep saying. It's exactly what id and Avalanche were going for with the game, and I think they've captured it pretty well. It does take a couple of hours really to get there while you get into grips with the game. Once you do, it's absolutely brilliant fun, so I would strongly recommend you drop in on one of the streams if you're not sure, and maybe take a look at it. So for now, I'm going to leave you with a fairly epic fight that I had with a group known as the Immortal Shrouded. They tend to be quite tough early on. They're heavily armoured. They have a habit of disappearing on you using stealth tech. And yeah, they pose quite the challenge at this stage. It made for quite the epic war, so I'm going to stop talking and leave you to enjoy the absolute madness that is Rage 2. For now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do hit those buttons for me. It's always very much appreciated. Social media links down below as well if you'd like to catch up with me on Twitter, Instagram, etc, etc. For now, thank you very much, and I will be speaking to you all very, very soon.